To some extent, basically, whether to find it, let's see.
Yeah, I commented on the LinkedIn Don. Like I need.
Oh, yes. I saw the comment. Okay, that doesn't, right?
I need this kind of like webinar that where I could get the.
Great, that's great.
So means like sometimes I get discouraged. Like everyone is hiring only SD and SD profile.
Oh, great.
So means like, I
cybersecurity. We are not hiring for SD profiles.
I had worked with the government cyber cell and Noida cyber cell also.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like I've done all things in cyber security only and only cyber security. I'm not interested in that. Okay, so now it's like sometimes I got discouraged that it's like all around like people are only the profile of SD. It's like they're programmer. No one is in the field. It's like I'm not getting any help from the college as well. The sector.
So what is the most amazing thing you like in cybersecurity? Means the particular domain you are interested in? Because some people like, being in threat intelligence field, some like the VAPT field, some being an analyst.
I was much more interested in VAPT, but switching to the SOC, like I'm saying that there is only the SOC is a way through which you can put your foot in the corporate of the cybersecurity. In the it's like many. I had asked from the many professional, not like they are working in the. They told me that the SOC is a way that they hire the fresher. They hire the fresher in the SOC only.
Okay.
I had also seen the Naukri.com as the LinkedIn, like every having the experience of the 2 or 3 years. So that's why I'm switching to the SOC. I'm interested in VAPT. I used to train some. I used to teach also of the some of them. Like they it's like one is from the Intech. I used to teach them VAPT, and she got the job in Goldman Sachs. But the main thing is that she had done the Intech. That's why she got. And I just gave it. I just gave the practical knowledge of VAPT only.
Okay.
Like, say Jennifer, you can she's on LinkedIn. You can ask from him. Like, she's still saying that she got the job because of me. But I'm not thinking I'll get the job because no one's hiring it.
No, it's
pressure in the security.
It happens. It happens actually.
Let's see what we have today.
Sometimes I got discouraged. Like I got so much disappointed by seeing the LinkedIn.
Okay.
The LinkedIn, like everyone is saying that I got the job, this, that, those.
No, it happens, and that's why we are here to help you guys out.
Yeah.
That's great.
So that's all I'm doing. Nowadays, like my own internship is also going on the PT virtual training.
Okay.
You try to give any interviews for VAPT in the market?
It's like no one is called. There is no profile for fresher in VAPT also. Everyone is asking for the 1 or 2 years of experience. So how can I apply for it?
It's more like a cycle. The freshers, they want to apply for the field, but they want an experience, but at the same time, they are not getting an experience.
I used to put this because that everyone is asking for experience that where I could get.
Okay, no problem in this.
Let's see how we can help you today figuring out few good jobs and opportunities out there in the market. So let's see.
Okay, thank you.
And whoever said that thing that you need a prior experience in order to select it as a fresher itself. So that is not something which must be there in the market. There are a lot of opportunities where they do want freshers. Because
I think that people is known as fresher with their degree only. It's like when I work with the Noida Cyber Cell Police, means like they don't have that kind of prior knowledge. Means like what kind of attack these days going on. So they don't that kind of knowledge, but the people like us, those are students who have the much more knowledge than them. They are experienced, but even getting the knowledge, we are called the fresher just because of the degree only. So we are fresher because of degree only.
Yes, it happens, but we'll figure this thing out because I don't think, after doing certain courses or taking training from someone or hands-on experience on few things or projects, you will be, I won't say fresher, as fresh as a fresher, but definitely there is a good chance you can make it through different jobs if you have some projects in your hand. And we'll talk about that too here so that when you're applying different places and you don't have to write it as a fresher because there are certain trainings, there are certain courses available in the market, and after doing that thing it becomes really easy to get jobs. So we gonna discuss that thing too.
Okay. I'll come back in 1 minute, please.
Sure. So I think Shambhav, we do have like a lot of openings right now, even for the freshers, for the different industries that we are looking forward for, right?
Right, right. We do have a lot of positions
Yes.
open. So we talk about that as well today. Let's see what we get out of here.
Yes, exactly. Hello. मैं कॉल बैक करूँगा मीटिंग में. I think we
Guys,
can.
we'll wait for another 2 to 3 minutes and then
Yes, we can wait for
start.
5 minutes and then we can start.
Yeah.
So may I know what you all guys?
We'll come on that, Gagan. Once we'll start, we'll come on that as well.
Okay.
So how's your work from home going on, Shambhavi? I hope it won't be that much tiring for you, like being in the same room again and again, not going outside.
I guess so. I guess so.
Great.
Sahil seems like pretty tired, is it?
Yes, I can see his face. Sahil, how's your work from home
And
going on?
people are looking forward to your knowledge. Why are you like, sitting like that?
I'm comfortable working from home.
All right. So are you also learning at the same time, or you're just like working and working, or how do you spend your day?
Mm, so usually, like by 10 or 11, like I have a stand up lined up for the day, like which is basically a task scheduler for the day, like what I have to do,
Mm-hmm.
and coupled up with 2 to 3 meetings till lunchtime. Then after that, like I'll actually start working on some projects, and maybe during the evening or late evening, I'll do some research, like maybe on new topics that are coming up, new attacks. So like that is how like pretty much I spend my each and every day, like for the like past 1 year. So this is the routine.
Okay. That's great.
Quite boring actually. I used to travel to office, I used to see different things.
I know. We'll start in another 1 minute.
I guess it's already like 5:07.
So Sahil, even when we say that, how does live projects, maybe if someone wants to get their hands on, for example, like, the fresher people and everything, I think this plays a great role in their career as well as getting a job somewhere, right?
Sorry, come again.
The importance of the live projects, if you talk about, if someone wants to go ahead as a fresher and wants their hands on to these things, that would play a great role
Yeah.
in getting a jobs, right? And you won't be considered that much fresh as a fresher.
Yeah. So live projects are like very, very crucial to
Yes.
actually get started in this field, because again, doing a lot of challenges that mm, that doing a lot of challenges in terms of hack the box or vulnerable or try hack me, so they can only give you a certain kind of experience up to a certain point. But they can actually, these are like things which actually try to simulate real life scenarios. But again, the word here that I use is simulation, so it does not represent any reality in terms of like what kind of stack will you get at the client side, and what kind of patches you will you be facing in terms of if you have to bypass security. So these machines are designed to give you a taste of how hacking or how ethical hacking feels like, or how one should go about it, or how basically one should have the will or the determination to go and try new things every day just to bypass a security measure, right?
Yes, exactly.
So that is basically you are basically building upon your will, determination, strength, and like kind of even your you are expanding your mental space in terms of like what more can you absorb, what more can you learn, relearn, forget, relearn again. And so this is like these platforms are like really good. But again, in terms of live projects, so live project experience is like completely different from these hack the box or one lab or try hack me. So in that case, live projects are like really, really important, because like even again um, there are aspects to it. So one is again the technical part that you are performing a penetration test or a audit, right? So that is one technical part. But the second part is again the business part, or interacting with the client, or handling the business queries or the escalations that are coming up from the team. So that is again really important in terms of getting how to communicate things properly to the client, how to manage well with your team, and how to do the team effective, how to do the teamwork effectively in terms of getting the project closure and getting the deliveries done. So yes, these two things are very, very different, and everybody needs to actually learn that, irrespective of whether you are a cybersecurity professional or not.
That's perfect.
I think we'll start, guys. It's already 5:10. So I'll start. First of all, okay. So first of all, hello everyone. Thank you so much for joining, and I hope we turn out to be a good help for all of you in terms of exploring jobs in cybersecurity. Talking about myself and my team, we'll start from a small introduction, and then we'll move towards the kind of opportunities which are available in the market, and probably how to jump and grab those opportunities out there in the market. So most of you are connected with me over LinkedIn. So myself, Shambhavi. I have been in the talent acquisition domain since last 6 to 7 years. I started my career in 2015, and I started working for EY, Deloitte, KPMG on there, these type of clients. Shifted to Videocon, then shifted to Lucidius. Lucidius is one of the top cybersecurity companies of India. Worked there for 3 years, built the team from the scratch out there, and now I'm here. We've started our own venture 5 months back. Thinking what we have started our venture, we'll come on that on a later stage. But one of the division of that venture is basically the reason why we want to give back to the community, and we see a lot of challenges in cybersecurity field. So that is how I am catered. My experience is catered. I have been cybersecurity hiring expert since last 4 years. You talk about each and every domain, each and every opportunity out there in the market. Probably, I don't know whether I'll be able to help you or not. But then I would try my level best to cater each and every question you have today for me. So this is what my experience lies in, and this is what I am going to share with you in terms of how to grab opportunities, how to deal with that, how to get in as a fresher in any of the organizations and things of that kind. So in the very starting, I would like to clear that that's an open forum. That is not a regular webinar where you have to mute the things and where you have to go ahead and type the questions out there in the comment box. We can follow that procedure, but we would be happy if you unmute yourself and ask a question as well. So that is not a problem for us. We'll be happy to address that. So this is how we are going to take it ahead. And Sahil and Himanshu will go ahead and give their introductions, and probably we'll jump on the next page.
Okay.
Himanshu, you want to start?
Yes. So, guys, I'm Himanshu Vora, and I have been in the cybersecurity industry since last 7 years, and I started also my journey in 2013 itself, where after the graduation I was working as a project scientist at the IT Delhi, in which I have done a huge work in the control repositories in IoT security in specific. And then I have worked with the Lucidius company, a cybersecurity company actually, where I have worked on their core products. So in my journey, I have worked on seen how the safe works and how our own personal threat intelligence software, that is what we call as a DTIA, that is a dynamic threat intelligence assessment. I have worked on that and we created that, and currently it is the one of the AI based amazing platform which gives you everything about a cyber threat intelligence. Apart from that, I have also done more than 100 assessments for the external cybersecurity for the organizations, including Morgan Stanley, Bank of America, Amazon, Google, all top Fortune 500 companies. And at the same time, I have also done a lot of VAPT projects in the field of the web application as well as in the the external security architecture designing. So that's all about me. And then recently we thought about starting our own venture where we are at present we are catering the services in the cybersecurity field as well as we are creating a product in the market, a cybersecurity product in the market. So, and apart from that, I'm also pretty good in the data breach investigations because we had a few clients that we are helping them that how they can track their data breach, what is basically the kill chain or a cycle you can say for the hack, how it happened. So currently we are as a working as a consultant also for different companies. So that's all about me. Over to you, Sahil.
Yeah. Uh, like I have been in this industry for like now 6 or 7 years, and I started out as a software developer, just like everyone else. So a typical like Indian mentality, being a software engineer, getting a a starter package of 3.5 LPA or somewhere around the 4 LPA in terms of back in 2013 or 2014, right? So, but I was introduced to cybersecurity like back in 2011 or 2012. So I used to take up like training courses like from very much local institutes I were there, and in terms of gaining understanding like how basically computer works, then getting on to getting an understanding of how Linux works basically. So that was my whole journey. I learned a lot of IT and computers throughout my college journey. So I was introduced to cybersecurity back in 2012. So there, I was first time introduced to ethical hacking and how an a hacker mindset basically targets people for their own motives. Motives can be anything. So started out my career as a software engineer. Didn't like it. I used to build kernel modules in C and C++ for a telecom company. Didn't like that much. Very monotonous desk job. So moved on to that at that time, like the Android application or the application market was booming. So I took I took up Android application development and iOS application development. Again, did it for some years. Got bored of it. Moved on to web development, full stack, front end, back end, and designing the middleware in between. So done it for some years again. Then moved on to cybersecurity. So that's how like I started my journey, and now being into cybersecurity, done over like 200 plus pen tests. Really active in like bug bounty and on bug bounty platforms, have reported 30 plus EVs, which are like really critical ones, and published some exploits, and really active on LinkedIn, like what are the attacks happening and all of that. Updated with like all the core security concepts that are that are coming up today. So like this is my whole journey, and apart from that, been also leading into red teaming assessments, moving into cloud security and DevSecOps. So these are like pretty much emerging fields right now, very much demand in the market. So this has been like my whole journey, shifted from a developer to a cybersecurity guy who like basically I love this field, and like I know for sure that I won't be bored for the next like 10 to 15 years if the even if the the space saturates, because every day like there is so much to learn every day, um, so many things are coming out in terms of sophisticated attacks and data breaches. So yeah, this has been like this was my journey up till now.
That's great.
Great. I think then everybody knows us now to some extent, and three of us are here basically to help you understand, clear your doubts, and in any possible way we can help back and things. So starting from the part, guys, like recently I was having a conversation with Gagan on the same call. He said that I learned cybersecurity. I'm a BTech fourth year student, but a lot of companies are coming for only software engineering positions. No college is specifically providing the placements in cybersecurity role, or the number of companies coming in is like 0.1%. Absolutely true. Then how does a person learn, or how does a person grow, or how does a person get in an organization where he can learn and things? Everybody is looking for an experienced guy, 2 to 3 years of experience and things of that kind. Put everything aside for 5 minutes, and please try and understand what Sahil said right now. He said that I started experiencing and learning about security since 2010 and 11. You know, probably when he was in college, you can say. Now, he didn't start with the cybersecurity part in India, because India has right now emerged a little in terms of opportunities of cybersecurity. But getting the knowledge from the right place and right set of people is really important as a first step, you know, to land any job, be it cybersecurity, be it any other job. So getting the learning from the right set of people. By right set, I mean the people with whom you feel comfortable and you feel that I am trying to understand. There's a possibility, and it happens all the time. I had two teachers in my BTech, and one of them, like, students were a big time fan, and there was another teacher. Not much students followed him, but then I was the one who followed him because I used to understand. There was a conversation between both of us, and I was able to grasp or grab what he was trying to say. So, good or right teacher in that terms, where your understanding is fitted down with that particular person. There might be great teachers sitting in the industry, but take demo classes, get an understanding from different people, and at least take a course or an understanding or a free course or a paid course, anything of that kind, from people from whom you can understand well, whose language is familiar to you basically. So, first step I would suggest is this. Talking about the second step, when we start learning cybersecurity on our own, we learn the ABCD of security. We try to implement it on our end, and we think that we have grasped a lot of knowledge learning by ourselves and by our hard work. Absolutely true. But then, when you put your hard work in the wrong direction, is again one of the reasons why you're not able to clear the interviews. Again, take an example from the college, because most of you, I am assuming, that would be from college third year or final year, things of that kind, right? You might have seen a lot of teachers again who have worked with the industry and then come back to teach around. You're able to connect with them in terms of practical aspects. अगर ये वर्ड यहाँ पे लिखा हुआ है तो इसका प्रैक्टिकल इम्प्लीमेंटेशन क्या है. That particular thing is very important in cybersecurity from very basic steps. Cybersecurity's ABCD is not enough to crack a job, because everybody is looking for a readily available resource, and especially in India, if I talk about, because again, India has now started emerging in cybersecurity. A lot of big companies like EY, KPMG, Deloitte, PwC have started their cybersecurity division few years back. They didn't used to have that division particularly. Core startups like NII, Palladium, Lucidus, etc., have started focusing on that part, started focusing on that particular industry around 6-7 years back. Then the big giants picked it up as one of the business units, and they started setting up things like that. So this is how it is going in the industry. So the reason, if you want to get jobs in India in terms of cybersecurity, learning just the ABCD of cybersecurity is not enough. And then you need to, be a little higher in terms of practical understanding, practical expectations, practical clarity, where that particular word or that particular theorem would be implemented out there in the industry. You need to be very clear with those things. Again, it boils down the same way that you need a right mentor to guide you. Even if you're doing it by yourself, you need a right mentor to guide you. Any senior who has been there, done that, clearly been in cybersecurity field, please connect with them, try to understand what the industry is looking forward to. And I would say not just one, get the point of view of 5-6 different people, and then do what you feel is right. Because at times that happens that you're taking guidance from one person, maybe that guidance is not suitable or not according to your need. So try to talk to multiple people in the industry. Be very active on LinkedIn, because there are a lot of people who you can follow on LinkedIn. They are posting daily updates about what's happening in the industry, where the positions are, how the positions are. And trust me, there are bulk of positions for freshers. We ourselves have a lot of positions for freshers. I inspired posted it over LinkedIn a few weeks back. Again, we are getting few positions for freshers. So there's no less jobs in terms of cybersecurity. There are approximately 1.8 million jobs open in terms of cybersecurity field, and 45% of the janta in cybersecurity field is the one who has got separate training from BTech, because we don't have flourished BTechs in cybersecurity in India. So 45 to 50% of people who are excelling this particular area have taken trainings and learnings from the right mentors who actually synced in well with their ideology, and they went ahead like that. And this is on record. This is mentioned by Forbes in their articles. So you can go online and check around the facts and figures. So these are two most important things from my end as a very basic step if you want to, get a job in this industry or try out your hand out there in this industry. So first of all, guys, any questions in terms of these two things, or any clarity you need on these two parts?
So even if you guys have any questions, you can also write in the text box or a chat box itself, which is there in the Google Hangouts. If you don't want to talk, you can type it there.
Great. I guess we'll keep on getting the questions in between. Talking about now the kind of job opportunities we have in cybersecurity field right now. I jotted down few of the positions. I've been hiring for VAPT is one very prominent field in cybersecurity. The number of ethical hackers, the number of positions in ethical hacking, be it weapon testing, be it network, be it iOS, Android, be it anything. There's huge amount of job opportunities in terms of VAPT as freshers. SOC is again, one of the open positions right now, but SOC is something, which is given by big giants only right now. If you talk about small companies who have 100, 200 people right now, they'll not be having, they'll not be hiring SOC people to handle their internal security infrastructure. They don't have that big infra right now. So depends, if you want to go ahead and talk. There are analyst role, which are basically research and development role. You do a lot of research, write white papers. Somebody who's having an interest in that. Threat intelligence, red teaming, blue teaming, social engineering, cloud security is something very prominent these days. That's a booming and fuming field right now. DevSecOps is again an opportunity. Cyber forensics is something we're going to talk about today. One of the student texted me over LinkedIn that he wanted to talk about that. GRC is again a very interesting field. Somebody who follows a lot of policies and procedures and loves understanding that. GRC is again a very interesting field to work in terms of cybersecurity. And trust me, all the positions which I'm telling you right now, guys, here, I would not say, as a fresher, you'll get a job of CISO out there in any company. You need experience for that. I absolutely agree. But the number of positions which I told you right now out here, if you have very strong basics, if you have read thoroughly, if you have tried it hands-on to a certain aspect, trust me, you'll get good jobs out there in the industry. I have been doing it since last 6 to 7 years for the people out there. So you can trust me on those words that there are a hell lot of jobs out there in the industry in terms of cybersecurity. Now talking about further, there are a lot of cybersecurity products in the market. So a lot of jobs related to the people who love development but they want to move to security. So a very nice shift in terms of that can also be made. That is like not a problem. And there's a very big myth that I don't know coding, then how I'll do security. That's okay if you don't know coding. You can still come in security. These are two separate things. Um, so these are certain these are certain positions and these are certain opportunities which are available in the market. Trying for certain position and trying for these particular opportunities, again, choose your interest first of all. For example, somebody wants to go for GRC. A lot of reading is required. Okay, lot of reading, lot of understanding in terms of policies, procedures. The person himself or herself should be somebody who follows policies and procedures. That's a kind of personality, ideal personality, I would say, would fit in that, because here you have to go and dig into a lot of things in terms of policies, in terms of how to run a procedure, in terms of HR function, in terms of admin function, in terms of IT team, how does a team run, get the complete implementation done out there in bunch of companies and things of that kind. So again, choose as per your interest. If you're somebody from the coding background who want to move, try to practice source code reviews, try to get into the cybersecurity product companies where you practice a lot of things. But then for each and every position which I told you right now, there is one basic standard which everybody has to follow. That is the basic understanding of security. Now, by basic, to what extent I mean that Sahil and Himanshu will explain you in a much better and detailed version. That to what extent the person should know. After that, you can go in different directions with that understanding. So I will hand it over to Sahil and Himanshu. I have one question out there. How can change my job from project management to cybersec? I've done my MTech in cybersecurity, but somehow my line got switched and I finished MTech in 2018. I'm not a fresh grad. Uh, that's Divya. Okay. So Divya, depends on first of all project management, what kind of project you have been handling, and if you have done MTech in cybersecurity, you might be well aware of the basic concepts. But then please try to figure out some amount of time to put in your personal, growth in terms of cybersecurity, because you say that you have completed MTech in 2018. How much? in touch you are of cybersecurity right now, but then you need to be very well aware of at least the latest hacks going on, OS top 10, any just the basic things which are going in cybersecurity. What are the open positions? What is the requirement? What is the fitment? What is the trending news in terms of cybersecurity? How does that happen? What are the latest hacks? How does that happen? The whole mechanism behind that. So I don't know how much you're putting time in your personal growth if you want to switch a job, but then you will have to invest at least an hour every day, I would say, in terms of reading and learning and brushing up your things. So that we would be able to take on one when I'll be able to talk to you. I don't know. Because you say that again you cleared it in 2018. I'm not very well aware that right now how much incline and how much aware you are of the latest trends. So I would expect a answer on that in the comment box. Probably I can help you further on that. Vivek, I am a final year student in information security and digital forensics. So will you be an advantage? So will it be an advantage having a degree in cybersec? I mean, as a fresher. Vivek, absolutely, you have an upper hand because you have learned this particular thing since last 4 years. Depends on how much you have learned and how much you have invested time. If you say that if I compare you with a guy who is from BTech IT background or cyber or computer science background, and he has done like let's suppose 50 bug bounties or 100 bug bounties, very active with the things and latest hacks going on, I think he would have a better hand than you out there. So right now, degrees, obviously, I don't know how much you have learned in last 4 years or how much aware you were of latest things happening in last 4 years. But then if you have gathered the practical knowledge, you have you have done something in the industry where you try to do practical implementation of knowledge what you gathered in 4 years, I think you have a upper hand out here. So yeah, this is the answer to both the questions. Sahil, if you want to take up that, what is that baseline till which the person have understanding, and then they can probably go in SOC, DevSecOps, different things.
So, in terms of baseline understanding, if like I really don't care when I hire for my team or when I'm looking out for a person to help me in my team, right? So I do not look at college degrees, or I do not look at even the certifications, because these two things are totally different. And when I'm interviewing the person, so that sometimes the story is like completely different, right? So I do not like to follow or like to categorize the person in these two categories, but it helps a lot in initial screening. But in terms of interview, in terms of how solid is the foundation to to on which you have to lay the ground for cybersecurity, so I would really suggest get very hands on with Linux first. Linux first of all, try to understand like what is Linux, how to utilize Linux to your full potential. Start using Linux from day to on day to day basis. Like there are some days when I do not even open you know a GUI, or I do not need a mouse. I don't even need a mouse to uh, point a mouse pointer on a folder to open it. I just do all my stuff from a Linux terminal itself. Like that hands on must be, that's how you must be hands on with the Linux platform or either of the Windows platform as well. I'm not talking about you should use Linux platform on daily basis. No, even if you talk about Windows is used by like many companies in India and outside of India, in terms of when they deploy Active Directory in their organization. So every organization, like I think 30 to 40% organizations use Microsoft Active Directory, right? And the organizations which are using my Active Directory are like all the Windows user, right? So even if you have interest in Windows, try exploring the security side of Windows. Try with very basic things like how does a Windows Defender defends again all the attacks, like what is BitLocker, why it is needed, right? So what is a domain controller if you are working in a in an office environment, right? Why is that? If you're working in an office and when you get a laptop, that laptop has a lot of restrictions. You cannot put a pen drive in the office laptop. You cannot connect to the Wi-Fi or at home in the office laptop. Everything in the office laptop is being monitored by a third-party software which is installed by the office, right? Or installed by the IT department of the office. So why start asking questions, right? Start asking questions in terms of what you do on daily basis. How can you improve your hands-on experience with at least one of the operating system in terms of Windows or Linux. And when I say hands-on, I do not mean hands-on with uh, playing games or doing day-to-day tasks. I'm not talking about that. Hands-on, by hands-on I mean start exploring the technical side of things, right? Start exploring the technical side of things, because that is how hacking is done. Basically, if you do not know how a thing works, you probably won't be able to break it, right? So first try to understanding things, try to make sense of things, starting from very baseline, which is what you use on daily basis. That is your operating system, right? Without that you cannot operate your laptop or your PC. Try to gain an understanding of it, then moving on. Baseline, if talking about the baseline, try to actually cover the network basics. What are the network devices, how network devices communicate with each other, right? What are the different protocols that a network uses, right, to communicate, right? Learn more about the TCP/IP stack, right, which is used on daily basis. Try learning more about the hardware side of the network, how routers, switches, firewalls, all of these components are plays inside an organization, right? How do they communicate on on layer 2 or on a layer 3 protocol, right? So this all will actually help you to gain the knowledge in terms of, if you are looking out to be a network security analyst, you should be very well hands on with what are the devices in the market, on which layer they operate, how there is the interconnectivity between the two devices, and what kind of cables are required, and what kind of ports are open on these devices. If I do a network port scan, so what kind of ports I am looking at, what are the default credentials that are these devices shipped with. Start answering very basic questions, start asking questions. So I will not say that start asking the right questions. I'll just say start asking questions, and do start doing your own research as well. Like as Shambhavi told you, spend 1 to 2 hours on daily basis, right? If I get a lot of queries in terms of how do I start into this field, right? So the first answer is, as Shambhavi already told, find a mentor or find a training partner with whom you can train, so that you can elevate your level from A to B, right? So that is the simple way. You do a training course, you find a mentor, right, who is training you on a daily basis, who is basically grilling you on daily basis, helping you elevate your game, right? But if you do not want to do that, if you want to do everything by yourself, start spending 8 to 9 hours per day if you're really serious about cybersecurity, because things will get worse once you enter this field. I am telling you this very upfront, because I'm pretty much occupied every day, learning new things, right? So if you're spending about 8 to 9 hours daily in terms of learning things, if you are not from a IT background, if you're not from a even from a security background, so doing things will take time. It will be really painful. It will be out of your comfort zone. But if you are really interested in this field, so start putting in those 8 to 9 hours extra in your day. I'm not talking about, just don't hardcode me on that. 8 to 9 hours, whatever time you're left with at the end of the day. So start putting in that. Uh, Asking questions, asking the right questions, starting with your daily life, starting from the operating system that you operate on. right? Finding the technicalities, how things work. Moving on to the network, how things are interconnected, protocol stack, doing a network scan of even in your home you can do a network scan and try to find devices, like what are the devices that are connected to my router. Have you, like, I guarantee like most of you have not done that. Like finding devices which are connected to your internal home router. So try to do a ping or a sweep scan on your router. Try to come up with like logic, like what is Google actually, like if you try to search those terms on a Google page, you will try to make sense, you will try to connect the dots back. So try from this operating system, then network, and then finally exploring some platforms where you gain a better understanding of how things work at a upper level. That is, like, I talk about the applications that we use on daily basis. So on that case, like, you should be very hands on with uh, how what how a web page works, how a web browser works, how is a web browser able to fetch pages from a server. What is the mechanism? How does a web browser communicate to the server? And what are the different components involved through the process? What is the cycle? What is the protocol being used? And if you talk about security, then why is some pages are insecure, running on a port 80 or running on port 443. What is a SSL certificate? So take one thing at a time and break it down into multiple things until there is no questions to be asked further, right? So that is how security works basically. And that is how you will be experiencing this painful procedure when you do a pen test as well, right? So if you perform a pen test, if I am giving you an application, so you will be asked to basically reverse engineer that application, try to make logic out of it, how this application works, and then only then, if you know how to break down the application into small components, try to answer each and every question, then only you will be able to find loopholes or vulnerabilities in terms of in that application, right? If you do not know how things work, so like there is a very high chance that you won't be able to find any bugs, or even if you find those bugs, you won't be able to explain them to your client, like how this bug was exploited. So that is the case. And so from my side, like, I'll just point out two things. Start take things one at a time and start breaking them into smaller pieces, smaller problems, and then work on it until no until the point when there are no questions to be asked from your side, right? In security point of view. And then building a solid foundation in terms of operating system and networks. So these are like the two key points that everyone should work on if they want to enter in field of cybersecurity.
Cool. I think that helps a lot, Sahil. Basically, according to you, I guess you mean that being curious is one of the key factors which will help people grow and understand the field.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, exactly.
Cool. A few more questions, I guess. I'll address that. I think then Himanshu will take up the conversation in terms of explaining because he started his career from the very starting from the cybersecurity field. So I think he would have his own perspective for that. I'll just quickly answer the questions. As you said, companies don't hire from college, then is dev the only way to get into cybersec, and how much do certifications matter? No, development is not the only way to get into cybersecurity. You can directly also get into cybersecurity if you have been active in your third year and fourth year in terms of learning by yourself, or be sticking with a mentor with whom you were able to find the right guidance and everything. So that is also a way to get into. Development is not the only way. People move from different fields to cybersecurity. People move from non-tech to cybersecurity as well. So development is not just the only way. How much do certifications matter? certifications matter to an extent. Don't have so much weightage out there until and unless the certifications are like crest or things of that kind. But then, some companies follow some standards that they hire only OSCP people, or OSCP has always got an advantage above that person. But then it matters only till the time you appear for the interview. Once you appear for the interview, and even if you have cleared OSCP and don't have the basic knowledge, I have seen a lot of people in my life who were OSCP but were not able to answer the basic questions of like what is SSL handshake. So that was quite alarming. So then the value of certification comes down. The value of certifications is only there when you are well aware of practical aspects. That means you yourself create the value of your certifications. Nobody else does. So this is how it works out there in the industry. Which is the best job to start as a fresher in cybersec? The way you can start up with any of the roles which you like. You can start from SOC, you can start from VAPT, you can start from in VAPT, you can start from web, mobile, network. If you have a good background from network, you would like to start from network. You can start from an analyst role if you have a very good understanding in terms of research and development. You can start from threat intelligence part. You can start from cloud security if you have learned a lot about cloud computing and things of that kind in the past. You can start from DevSecOps if you have had a basic understanding of DevOps in the very starting. So depending from which field you want to start, I would not comment down like any particular field to start with. You can start with any of the fields depending on the type of interest you have. For example, somebody is having very good experience in forensics and want to move towards to cyber forensics, he can do that. That's not a problem. Manish, I have done hacking course from Lucidius. Okay, I've done LCSP in 2016, but at that time I have not got job in cybersecurity. So I joined Amazon as a full stack JavaScript developer. Years of experience, but I still do bug bounties. How can I switch? Manish, specifically taking up your case out here, you have got almost 4 to 5 years of experience right now. You're a 2016. If you did ethical hacking in 2016, I'm assuming you're a 2016 batch pass out. Okay. Now, the best way, let's suppose I'm an organization. So I am getting one person at one part who's having 3 to 4 years of experience in cybersecurity, and somebody like you is coming from a good brand and a good developer. All right. There is a possibility, let's suppose 10% to 20% of the possibility you get a job in the market in terms of any cybersecurity product company, right? Let's suppose you get interviewed for BitSite, okay? They have their own product. If you're very good with the kind of stack you work with and the stack matches with the company and you have good understanding of security because you say that you have been following that. So there is 20% chance you get the jobs in the market. But usually what people do to shift from one this kind of role to another is an internal shift. Amazon has its own cybersecurity team, and you have been there since last 3 to 4 years. So you can, and I see Amazon has a lot of open positions in terms of cybersecurity. Reach out. I don't know how the internal HR department works for you out there, but then there are a lot of internal switches which happen in all the companies in terms of roles, because the people, the company organization wants the person to work in a role where he or she can give 100%. So the best way I would suggest you is get an internal shift from Amazon. They will interview in the same procedure. You will not have to take a salary cut out there, because if you move outside of Amazon and you expect, let's suppose you're getting 30 lakhs or 40 lakhs a year, and you expect a cybersecurity organization to give you until and unless you have an absolutely phenomenal understanding in terms of practical aspects of cybersecurity, and you are able to compete with a person with a similar kind of experience, in cybersecurity, who has been doing it for 9 hours every day since last 5 years, like you have been doing development. So if you're able to compete with that guy, nothing like it. The reason I said 20%, you can get a job outside in any of the companies. But then 80%, I would really suggest you to switch internally, because these people already know your capability in terms of development. You might have proved yourself. That's the reason you are with the company since last 3 to 4 years. So try to get an internal switch from there, talk to the people out there, understand how does that work for them, and that would be the best option for you.
And like before that, even like if you are coming from a developer background, so I would like really suggest that start including security practices in your code, and try to involve your team as well into secure coding practices, because that is the first part that you can do as a developer, right? If you want to explore cybersecurity, so like every application or everything that is there in this world is like that runs on some piece of code. So so on top of that, like if you are if you want to start out in cybersecurity, so like the entry point for you might not be in a VAPT position or a SOC position or like anything else. So entry point in your case can be defined that you come from a developing background, but you develop code as part of security, as part of best security practices that you can implement. And again, there is a guide given on OWASP, so you can explore that guide on OWASP for security, best security practices for coding, and you can try to do secure code reviews, because you can make an understanding of the code. Try to do manual source code reviews of your colleagues and point them out, that you missed out on this and this point in terms of security, right? You can try to play with the multiple tools in terms of in terms of code analysis. So there are multiple tools such as Checkmark, SonarCube, Qualys, Acunetics, NetSparker. So these are the tools that you should actually explore in terms of like what are the bugs that these tools report in in your code, right? Then you can probably talk to your upper management, or your manager to actually make a difference in the team, that that we should actually implement these tools, or you should actually start implementing these practices, so that the overall work in the security team can be somewhat less, they can have a less burden of, right? And from there on, if you are pretty much solid in terms of this, so again, this is the part that also introduces you to DevSecOps, because you are coming from a developer background, you are integrating security into it. And if you can learn the operations part, which is the building infrastructure and the configurations that are required to scale up into the production environment. So basically you can enter into either of these fields, either as a part of secure code, or doing source code audits, or the second is the DevSecOps cycle. So these are like the two entry points that you can think of.
Cool. Himanshu, you tell like what, because you started your career initially from the very starting in security. You gained knowledge in terms of networking a lot, and then moved to security, IoT security specifically. So, what do you think? The person should do. What is the baseline basically that this much the person should be absolutely well aware of, and after that the person can go in different directions and explore different roles in cybersecurity. And how was it for you? Because as a fresher, I see these people are very confused in terms of how to start with, where to start with, and absolutely agree with that there is huge gap in terms of industry and the students or the people who want to come into cybersecurity, because the way LinkedIn reflects all other positions, it does not reflect security. Reason, there are less people right now and things of that kind. So how was that for you?
uh, I would say that when you are starting something, irrespective of the field, that whether you have a degree of a cybersecurity in the past, or maybe like one of the question is there, like I have a moderate level of coding skills. So all these things doesn't matter, but what matters the most is that how much hands-on you are in the field that you want to be in. So if I ask you the baseline, that what is the minimum baseline, then I would say that you should at least know what are the basic security concepts regarding how the bugs need to be found, how are the different threats needs to be found, what are the different open source tool that you should rely upon. For example, just consider yourself, there are different multiple sites in which they offer such programs where, for example, like there is a one site which tells what are the number of websites from where you can learn all these things, for example, like, or you can test from all these things. So if I talk about the Apple, or if I talk about the Tesla, uh, these companies actually have a separate section where they actually ask everyone that if you can find bugs for us, if you find different threats for us, then we will actually help you in getting, certifications for your learning, irrespective of your backgrounds and everything. So minimum level is something that you should know how, on which softwares, which tools, or which field you want to go in. If you are going in a, you see your future in the VAPT itself, then the, I would say the minimum level should be like, you should know what are the different hacks, what are the OWASP top 10, how they used to be done. You should be pretty good with the, the port swagger there. So that is something I say that you should know about these things. If you are looking forward for the, the field as a red teaming exercises, then I would say that, learn about different open source tools. Open means OS in intelligence tools, because they actually helps you in fighting different threats and vulnerabilities. Similarly, if you are going on the, in the cybersecurity itself, there are different, auditing and, the GRC fields are there. In that case, you should know pretty much about the compliances. So it all depends upon what you see yourself, in next 2 years or 3 years, or what future you want to proceed. So it keeps on, the level keeps on changing with time. And the very important thing is, you should be always updated regarding the security things. What happened today, maybe, not used tomorrow. So, something like that, because each and every day the new patches are coming, each and every day the new hacks are coming, each and every day new threats are coming. And a person should always be stay up to date for all these things. So the minimum level all come from what you want to achieve. So this is actually my perception, and this is what actually I have learned in my journey itself. Because I still remember I started my journey as an associate in the Lucidius, where I was a security analyst. And if I talk about that level, the minimum one, and there I need to learn only about the OS intelligence tool. And then I slowly progress towards, getting about more technicalities, learning about the email securities, and then I switched to the job responsibilities of a lead, then technical architect. So the base level is always there, which is like basic understanding regarding the field. So this is not like a particular threshold that I should know at least this much. No, it's about your satisfaction, that if someone is asking you something, then you will be in a good position to answer all these things. So that level must be kept in mind. And apart from that, there is actually a one question here. The Sukhdev asked that I'm pursuing the BTech CSC third year, and I'm beginner in cybersecurity. Can you please tell about the internships and where and when to apply? I would say, that's actually the perfect time you should apply for the internship. And in that case, you can forward your resume to the Shambhavi itself, because we do have a lot of opportunity coming these days, and we have different clients who needs people, who needs, maybe they need freshers also, they need experienced people also, for the different jobs and the openings. In that case, you can talk to her, you can send her CV, maybe we can arrange something good. And then did some beginner level course from the Coursera and the Cyber Array, currently doing bug bounty courses. All right, so as I said, there are different courses available in the market. There are different certifications are there, but all those certifications, I would say, matters only if you have hands-on experience. If you are appearing for a job as a fresher, apart from the certificate, they're gonna ask you that what is a real thing that you have done, what is a practical aspect of everything that you have done. And in that case, if some guy comes there and say that yes, I have done a real time or live project I have done, in that case that person has a more, acceptance rate than you. So whether it's a Coursera, cyber array, anything, but it is all about the practicality of the course itself and the requirement that the job is asking. So uh, can I claim my internship as an experience? Yes, actually you can, because I don't talk about the others, but the training that we offer at the Intect, we have different live projects where we assign people and different students, fresher as well as an experienced people, to learn as well as handle the clients. So these internships are actually catered as a true experience, and you won't be a fresher anymore if you're starting learning from these things. So in many cases, yes, internship is considered as an experience, but again, the practicality aspect is always there. So this is my point, Shambhavi. Any particular question that still you have in your mind?
So, in terms of, I know many people must be confused with like again, you do not answer the actual query that, where should I start, right? You guys are just saying, you have to figure out yourself, but what is the way of figuring out what is that one thing that I love and will like to do for the next 5 or 10 years, right? So in that case, in terms of cybersecurity, not in terms of cybersecurity, but in general, uh, pick up one thing and try to stick with it for like next 6 months, right? This is like this is an advice that I will give out for anything in life, right? Do pick up one thing, try to stick with it for next 6 months, and see whether you like it or not. In terms of drawing an analogy to cybersecurity, pick up a topic, pick up a field. If you want to be a application security engineer, network security engineer, red teaming engineer, social engineer, you want to be a threat hunter, a SOC analyst, or any other position. Take a basic job description or a basic profile of any company. Maybe you want to become a SOC analyst. Okay, take the job description, break it down into small milestones of 6 months, right? And maybe set a milestone at every 2 weeks, right? So basically, in next 6 months, you will be able to actually tell whether you like the journey of being a SOC analyst, right? And if the answer is no, then you should probably think again in terms of cybersecurity if you want to take it up as a career, or probably think in terms of getting into a different field of cybersecurity. But in that case, try to stick with anything for 6 months at least, so that will actually help you gain an understanding, like what things you do not want to do. So that is the most important thing. The people focus on like what I like to do. So I will just say, like, first try to stick to things that you do not want to do, so the path will automatically become clearer in that sense. So try picking up things, try sticking to them for, like, if you don't want to do it for 6 months, do it for 4 months or 3 months at least, right? Try to pick up things from the JD, try learning them the things on your own, and try to define whether you love the process of learning or not. If not, then try something else until that's the things basically start sticking on the wall, right? So that is how, like, I, like, myself did in the past, because like after a few years, development was getting boring for me. So that's how I switched my careers from development to multiple modes of development, or then moved on to cybersecurity. So try sticking to things, and if you like the process, so that's probably basically a thumbs up to go further.
So one of the question then Vantri has that uh, I just have completed BSc from the forensic science, and I want to make a career in the field of computer security and computer forensics. I can say like I have like a moderate level of coding level, and can you suggest me a way from where I can start, and like what to learn and all? So Sahil, so the question like this, like you have said that you should stick to the one course or you one field for a 6 months. So if a person comes from a specific field of like a forensic science, or maybe the field relating to cybersecurity itself, if in a very broad term itself, and he wants to explore the possibilities, like whether should I be an analyst, whether should I be in an R&D for an forensic, whether should I go for a data breach investigations or a VAPT. So to get the flavor that how what is my best interest, what would you suggest? How would I segregate from all these different domains and choose the one that I really love? Because sticking with 6 months itself means that I'm choosing something from all these sectors. So which one should I go, which one so can you explain
So
that?
probably that is for the first thing that you want to choose for the next 6 months. So that is probably you will go with your basic instinct that I want to do this because this seems good, this sounds cool, this looks good, this looks interesting as well. Like if I read the job description, sounds good. It sounds good to me. It makes sense to me. These things that are mentioned in the JD seems interesting to work on. So pick up that profile first. Like, you can go with the instinct, but like, instincts might not be a good way to quantify things. But in terms of picking up multiple JDs, studying them, like taking multiple 4 to 5 JDs and studying them, like, and what things basically excite you, right? So pick up that JD and try to break it down into milestones of next 3 to 4 months. And if you don't want to do it for 6 months, at least do it for 3 to 4 months, and then redo the cycle basically. If the answer is no at the end of 4 months, if you do not like what you are doing right now, then probably switch to some other JD, right? Because some things are there that read and will not make sense, will sound boring, but in the end, when you try to practice them, the truth the truth will be completely different on the opposite side. You might start liking application security in terms of even if you are not coming from a developer background. So sometimes this happen, right? And people become really really good at it even if they do not have a developing background. So that is the case. Pick up few JDs, try to actually Google some terms in terms of JD, and you will make a basic sense of the profile that this person will do this and this on daily basis. So should I do that on the same scale? Like, should I be able to do that on daily basis? If the answer is yes, do it for next 3 to 4 months and reiterate yourself at the end of the fourth month.
Yes, that's perfect. And there is also one more question that Gagan is asking that, so is the every role in the cybersecurity having a role for fresher? So if no, then how can I get into the corporate after the BTech in cybersecurity domain? Uh, so Gagan, the thing is, whenever you start a journey, every person start as a fresh. Now I tell you the real life example that we had a multiple tie-ups with different corporate companies, including Amazon, Morgan Stanley, Samsung, Cisco. A lot of companies are there, and they ask us that they give us a bulk of requests for the freshers and the experienced people. That if you have these people, then help us out, reach them out, so that we can help them in recruiting them. And when we align in interviews for these people, the only thing is that they ask for a practical approach. That's why this is always a main priority for us, for everyone. They ask for the fresher, but at the same time, they also ask for the hands on experience over all these things. So, whenever you do a training, whenever you do an internship from wherever you want, even if we are providing an internship or a training, we actually help students to get hands on the live project itself. So that if they are taking your interview, and they have any projects, so you will be always be the first preference for them, because you don't have to go through entire probation period. If there are like 5 people there who are for an interview for a one post of a job, and you are there who had an experience of a live project, as well as you know how to handle the clients, how to talk to the clients on the on site as well as on the off site itself. Now in that case, from those 5, you'll be the one who always been a top preference. So this is how we generate leads. This is how we actually help students as a freshers to get recruited at that platform itself. So coming back to the point again, the practicality of what you learn is very important. So this is something that you need to keep in mind. This is how we actually generally enter to the corporates in the field of cybersecurity. And any tips?
I'll pick up a question here.
Yes, yes.
Gagan has mentioned any tips about resume and how can approach industry. Gagan, again, connecting the dots out here, what Himanshu and Sahil told in terms of practical aspects and connecting to the number of companies we told right now. So we got around 30 to 40 positions for freshers from multiple companies. Now, a month back, we tried to close the position because there are a lot of freshers who are looking for the opportunity. There was there were like 500 CVs in my inbox, and I connected with each and every person a month back and tried to understand that what they are having as an interest and what they have done so far. The sad part of it was the companies are having the opportunity, but I didn't have that amount of skilled freshers in the industry with which I can close those positions. Because the people who shared their CVs just said that, yes, ma'am, I know cybersecurity, I want to do cybersecurity. if I ask them like what is SQL injection, they have just jotted down or they have just remembered one definition. And if I started digging in, okay, let's suppose that if there's a SQL injection happened, what is the patch for that? They didn't know the answer for that. So digging deep and understanding the practical aspects, why internships would count or why taking trainings from a place where they're giving you live projects would count is because you have worked in real industry environment out there. For example, like we are having few government projects aligned. We would be looking for interns in next few months. Now let's suppose these interns work for these government projects. You have worked on the pretty live project out there dealing with the government client. Doing the customer conversations, understanding them, doing the report reading, multiple things. So that counts as an experience. This is one thing. So there's no less opportunities out there in market. There is the talent pool is very less in terms of opportunities. The reason you guys, when you search, you get less opportunities because the kind of expertise required, you don't carry that right now. So try to match up the level in terms of learning. Now, where do you find the opportunities? Be very well connected on LinkedIn with different people, specifically the cybersecurity industries who are providing cybersecurity services. Now that depends on you whether you want to be in a company which is specifically the service provider or a product company. Right now, around 60% of the companies who are product companies are having their own security team. These are not that big teams, but then small security teams. So the opportunity of getting in a product team becomes less, reason being they have a small security team. So be very well connected whether you want to go into product company or a services company. Jot down the list of companies you want to be in, and focus on the type of expertise they work on, and then start building your skills accordingly. And out there, resume building helps you a lot. They don't want to know what is your exact address. They don't want to know whether your hobbies were singing, playing football, dancing, and anything of that kind. What they're interested in is you jotting down the life projects what you have worked on. For example, I see a brilliant CV, of a fresher, and I see a CV of 1 year experienced person. Now, 1 year experienced person has written, I used to do meetings, I used to handle this client, I have reported like, I have done like 5 projects, 5 assessments in 1 year. Now, on the other side, I see a fresher whose resume says I have done 30 bug bounties, I have earned this amount, I have done live project with cyber forensic cell, I have done this live training with with the Delhi Police Department and things. I would be more impressed with that fresher rather than that 1 year experienced person. So even if the company is looking for a 1 year or a 2 year experienced guy, your resume, looks in a way that this guy is pretty worth giving an opportunity. So try to create a resume of that kind, and to create that resume, you will have to do certain things out there in the practical life in terms of doing life projects, learning from right mentors, blah blah blah. Again, we'll be repeating again if I say that. Okay, so that is an answer to the question of building right resumes and how to approach the companies we're looking forward to. Further, there is one more question out there. I have been doing TriCAN and Hack the Box for good enough time. I think I know most of the basics of all things you said. I've done an internship in WWT domain, and I'm looking to start with bug hunting this year. Okay, Sahil, I think that's a question for you. I'm in second year and aiming for EJPT this year. I'm more interested in offensive side rather than the defensive forensics and all. How should I proceed for here in future?
I am also reading the question, so just give me a moment. I think I know most of the basics of all the things I have done. Okay, I'm looking to start with Pagong. Okay, I'm in second year. Okay. Interested in offensive side rather than the descent. Okay, how should I proceed here from here in the future? Okay, so if you are doing hack the box, I will say, like, if you I think you wrote that you will be starting with bug bounty this year, so that is like a pretty good start, like from where you are right now. So in terms of doing EJPT, yes, you can choose to do EJPT. And again, like, if I was in your position, right, so I will basically, because I still have time. You are like in second year right now, so you have 2 more years to go before you know start looking out for a job or things of that kind. So you have 2 more years to actually figure out many possibilities in terms of cybersecurity. So I will recommend that you start with the bug bounty right now. Do it for a year, right? See how much success you can have with it, right? If things do not work out in bug bounty, because the first 3 to 4 months will be a lot of pain. Like you will be basically finding a lot of informational bugs. You will be finding a lot of duplicate bugs or low level bugs, so where you won't be earning any bounty at all, or maybe 10 to 20 or maximum $50, $60, right? So in that case, that is not at all a morale booster. But at the end, if you would love to continue it, so you can do that. But in that case, keeping the bug bounty aside, I would focus on many other things that are the need that are required at this point of time, right? I would start exploring like how cloud works, because in the next 2 or 3 years, everything will be moving to the cloud. Even the applications that are right now running on the on-premise infrastructure, that will be moving to the cloud. So in that case, doing bug bounty and reading things that are needed in future, because cloud is inevitable. Cloud will actually basically take over the world in terms of infrastructure. Everything will move to cloud eventually, right? Even from you building the PC inside your home, getting a gaming PC on your desktop, right? That won't be a thing in the near future. You will be purchasing a subscription from a cloud vendor to actually game on a cloud computer, right? So that is actually a thing, and the companies are working towards cloud. You won't require a gaming PC in the next few years, because you will basically purchase a subscription from some cloud vendor, and you will do your gaming on the cloud. So from that analogy, you can basically figure out things like how much is the scale of the cloud. So in that case, focus more towards reading upcoming technologies. You can explore security side of blockchain. You can explore security side of cloud. You can explore security side of IoT, right? You can start even with exploring cybersecurity with machine learning. So these are very niche fields that you can enter, because just because you are not at that stage, that job hunting stage, you still have time to experiment or play around with things, right? So bug bounty, if you tell me that how will you differentiate you from others, or because everybody is doing basically the same thing that you are doing right now, right? So you are basically doing a trajectory that many others are doing right now, or many others will do in future, right? So anything that separates you uh, from others in terms of knowledge, in terms of reading some niche technologies, will put you very far ahead in terms of from the crowd. So start exploring different technologies. Start building upon them. If you do not want to actually, if you do not want to actually, even explore the security side of it. If you do not understand the security side of it, at least try to make some sense out of it, right? I do not expect that you should understand technology A to Z just to implement security in it. That is not how it goes. But at least try to do some work in terms of those technologies, and maybe sometime in the near future, after 3 to 4 years, things will connect back, and you will start making sense of those things that you read 3 to 4 years back. So things will actually become better in that case. So apart from following a mental mentality of what do you say, like herd mentality, so in terms of that, so you should separate yourself from the herd and start exploring some new things as well in terms of security. So that will actually put you in front of many other people.
I think we have one more question, Himanshi, if you'd like to take that up. What all skills are required to get a job in web app security part? So if you want to answer that part.
Yes, I think the Sahil is the one who should definitely answer this thing because web
Yeah, he's on
application
the floor
security is
already,
like
so I think
he loves
he'll
so
take that
much,
up.
that's why.
What is the question?
What all skills are required to get a job in the web application
Basically, the
security?
web app.
Okay, web app security. So basically, I would suggest that gain better knowledge of at least hands-on experience, like how to build applications using HTML, CSS, JavaScript. At least try to lay a solid foundation in terms of how basically JavaScript works, how Ajax calls work, how these asynchronous communication takes place in terms of whether you call them APIs or using XML or JSON format, right? SOAP or REST APIs. So first, try to make those APIs. At least try to make a code work, right? I do not, and again, do not expect any full understanding in terms of developing an application, but try to put in some code, try to write some code, try to build a small application, right? And from there on, you will see that when it comes to web application security, when you will be reading OWASP or some other standards such as SANS or any other thing, right? So in terms of getting that understanding, at the code level, in terms of even if you are providing patch support to your client, so that your client will be expecting that you should give him a code level patch support, right? So how will this thing work? How will what what is that thing that needs to be fixed at the code level? So in that case, you should start building very very simple applications in HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and using PHP. If that thing is taken care of, I think 50% of the battle is already won, right? In that case, start using these technologies, because these technologies are still relevant and will go in like will see the foreseeable future for like next 5 to 6 years more, right? So in that case, start having some knowledge in these things of programming languages. Then start reading some documents of security side. Like there are multiple documents given, like how to implement JavaScript correctly and securely. You should read the official documentation of the security documentation of JavaScript or security documentation of PHP, like what all things change between PHP 5.5 and PHP 7.4. What were the security bugs that were patched by the community of PHP? So that things, if you keep on reading and reading, so that becomes a part of your subconscious memory. So in that case, if you were to do a pen test on a PHP application, so by seeing the PHP version, you will be your mind will be working that, oh, okay, it is vulnerable to this and this bug. There is an exploit available to it, and there is a metasploit or auxiliary module or exploit working out there in the in that console. So in that case, you will start building on your subconscious memory. I read this thing back, I have worked on this thing, and I know how this thing works, so probably I will be able to break it, right? So in terms of web application security, totally a must for me is like the person should be you know should actually know how to build a small app, at least a small app, just to get the basics right. Then building on top of that OWASP top 10, uh, in terms of injection attacks, very very crucial, because SQL injections are still a thing right now, and on top of that, no SQL injections are also the new thing right in the market. So in that case, coming to PHP, you should have good hands-on writing SQL queries when I talk about injection attacks. So most of the people do not know how to do a SQL injection. They will just take the payload from a GitHub repository and try to paste it in, or run a work suite active scanner and try to find a skill injection just hoping that they would find one. So that is not that is not how bug bounty works actually. If you try to run an active scanner in a bug bounty platform, you will get nothing out of it. If you want to run any kind of scanner, if you want to run OWASP Zap also, so you will not get any bugs out of them. So everything has to be done manually, and you can do things manually when you have a good or a solid understanding of how things are interconnected and how things work. So good understanding of MySQL or any SQL database. Basically, you should know how to write queries, SQL. Then you will understand the aspects of SQL injection, how parameterized query basically prevent SQL injection and all of that. In terms of vast top 10, like this is the most important thing that I'm talking about, which are the injection part, which basically leads to data breaches and remote code executions, right? So in that case, OWASP top 10, very very solid foundation. So there is a cheat sheet, a series of OWASP top 10 that is given from a very basic level, and that goes till like up to a developer level, like how to patch that bug on a code level, right? So very very good hands-on with OWASP top 10, and and good hands-on with some of the tools in terms of how to use burp efficiently to your own expertise, right? So even handling burp is basically is quite a challenge, right? Some people do not know how to use burp efficiently, right? So that is again some tools that you should be able to use very very in a very effective way, and then particularly define a methodology of how you will basically execute a web application security pen test. Define a methodology. There are 5 phases of pen testing, but again, people break it down into multiple small phases according to their own needs. So to have a good efficiency in the pen test, right? Define your own methodology and see what works for you. But in terms of if you want to get a job in web application security, very very much hands-on with OWASP Top 10. Prior to that, try to build small applications, try to get some code level understanding of how application works, how protocol works, how communication works, right? So for that kind of for a fresher level, like this is more than enough actually to get you a good job in terms of application security engineer.
Yes, perfect.
Great. After that, I think we have answered the questions of what company wants in our CV. Gagan says thanks. Cool. Guys, I think we were able to help you in any ways. I hope. Okay, I've got one more question. Rather than doing a big corporate cybersec job, I would like to run a cybersec startup because I think learning opportunity is what I already know.
Of course,
Vivek,
yes.
I kind of agree with you. And that's not just cybersecurity, that would be any job, because if I talk about one project in cybersecurity, let's suppose big companies like EY, KPMG, Bitec, anything of that kind. In one project, there are hundreds and thousands of people involved, and you just get one module to execute. But in startups, that's company's responsibility to complete the project, and they don't have that amount of workforce to cater. So in any case, that becomes a win-win situation for both of the people. So in startups, yes, you get a platform to explore and learn. So my personal opinion, being a person from talent acquisition and my personal opinion, it's always very very good to start a journey with a startup in terms of learning. If you are very disciplined, trust me, I am not that disciplined. Okay, so if I start from Amazon, Google, and I am very disciplined that I follow my calendar of my personal growth and learning, I won't be able to do that. But then in startup, that's in my job role. I'm given a platform and I have to perform. That is it how it goes. So that obviously gives us an opportunity to explore and to learn more. So my personal opinion on that startups always give you more opportunities compared to the corporate. corporates. Absolutely.
There's a very famous saying that the work that you do in a startup for 1 year is actually equivalent to the 5 years of work that you do in MNC. And
Yeah,
it's
and you'll see a lot of MNCs picking up people from the startups,
exactly.
because they have done the whole project alone. Which the same project, if executed in MNC, there were 10 people involved in that particular project. So the amount of knowledge you will get while completing the project, you can understand. You can imagine the difference between the amount of project of those 10 people and you. So 1:10, that's a huge ratio. So I would always suggest that if we can, and startups always give opportunities to freshers, undoubtedly. So that again becomes a win-win situation for you guys if you want to start from a startup, and list down the startups where you want to apply in, where you want to get in. Create an impressive CV, do some actual on-ground work, put it in your CV, share it across with the HRs, with the CEOs, with the CTOs, and you'll get something. But then just learn from the right mentors, learn from the people you are able to connect with in terms of communication. Do live projects, and for that also you have to create network, because cybersecurity is something not just technical. I'll be upfront with you on that. The person who understands business will be able to do cybersecurity. It's not just a technical role, because out there in the market, out there in the ground, you are securing the business of any company. So you need to understand business, you need to understand networking in a very nice way. These are certain soft skills which are mandatory for a cybersecurity expert. For example, if I talk about a social engineering part, or one of the red teaming activities I guess I did for one of the companies, where now you have to get knowledge, where you have to get the information out from the people who are working in the company. You need to know how to talk to people, you need to know how to network out there, you need to know the right questions to ask. So this is again a separate skill set, which is required. The reason mentioning our trainings out there, why I keep on mentioning that, is when we started hiring for the companies like Amazon and Google, we realized there's a huge gap. So the reason, the kind of trainings we provide, there are live projects, there are soft skill sessions, there are technical sessions, because the whole bunch of it is needed for you to get into any organization and start with. You're doing any activity for any company and you don't know how to put across your thoughts, or what are the right questions to ask from the client, or to help them understand how does this happen to their organization, how does that hack happen. So at times it becomes really difficult for people to communicate it. So networking, understanding the business, understanding the approaches to put across your point, these things are again very important if you're especially in cybersecurity field. You're not a developer sitting with your laptop in front and busy with that. You are actually going crazy out there in the market, saving the huge company. So that is the whole difference out there in the cybersecurity market. So there are these things also you need to learn out there. Yeah, I think you've covered almost all the questions. I think, guys, I hope it was of great help for you and the time was useful. Let us know on the same comments whether you liked the webinar or not, and you guys can suggest the topics as well. We'll keep on having their webinars every weekend, same time, Saturdays, every Saturdays. You guys can ping us with the topics as well on which you want to put across the webinars of, any technical topics, any soft skill topics, anything of that kind. You guys can give us suggestions, and we would love to cater that, in our limited capacity. That we'll try to do. And I hope this was not a waste of time for you guys. And thank you so much for joining in. And in case you want to take up the course with us, you can just text us or just mail us. All of us are connected over mails or LinkedIn's, and just get good jobs out there in the market. So all the very best, and thank you so much for coming in, and we'll see you again next week. Thanks, guys.
Okay,
Thank
bye
you.
guys.
Bye
Thank
bye.
you.
Bye. Thanks.